I'm Stephen Massey, and it's good to be with you. This morning, an important program that we've been promoting over the weekend as well, with a team from the government to talk about the Defence Treaty, or what is known as the Puk Puk Treaty. The Defence Treaty, or Puk Puk Treaty, between Papua New Guinea and Australia. It's a treaty between the two countries, and it aims to strengthen both countries' security relationship. This is also a highly scrutinized and critiqued piece of legislation that is set to go before the Papua New Guinea Parliament for ratification later this month. While we've seen and heard a lot of public commentary, analysis, discussion and dialogue from opposing ends of the argument, it's only fair that we hear from the people whose job it is to look through the finer details and construct the mechanics of what this treaty looks like. It's my pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning the Secretary for the Department of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Elias Wohengu, who is also the lead negotiator. Sitting alongside Mr. Elias Wohengu is the Secretary for the Department of Defence, Mr. John Akipe. I'd also like to acknowledge that in the room, but not on the set, we have the presence of the Chief of the Papua New Guinea Defence Force, Rear Admiral Philip Polewara, and we make him also welcome, even though he's not on the set. And then we've also got Colonel Rodney Yahamani, the Chief of Personnel, and he's a technical advisor to this particular group, and also Major Nobet Fehi, Director Legal. Gentlemen, good morning. I hope I've got all of those titles and names correct.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Mr. Wohengu, good to see you back here at the NBC studios and talking a little bit about this important piece of legislation and a lot of discussion around it. So I'll start off with you, and if any of you want to come in as well, please do so. What is a treaty? How does it work in terms of a legally binding agreement?
A treaty is a relations that is constructed within international law. A treaty has the provisions of parties that can sue each other in international courts where they are aggrieved by the operations of that treaty. So it is a binding, legally binding piece of legislation enforceable in any court of law, including international law.
The second part of this is, what is a country's foreign policy? Does having a foreign policy influence decision-making on treaties like this one we're going to talk about? And if so, what is the status of Papua New Guinea's foreign policy?
The foreign policy of a country dictates aspirations. They are domestically derived aspirations that see us projecting that on the international relations, or externally driven foreign relations developments that require national responses. The PNG's founding principles of friends to all, enemies to none sits pretty well on a newly independent nation as we try to find our place in the community of nations, and nation among nation and a nation among equals. So we had that construct. The foreign policies evolve as the environment and the community we live in changes. So governments are at liberty to construct new foreign policy paradigms consistent with the developments that take place.
What is the status of our foreign policy?
We have 5 foreign policy trajectories in the past. I am quite happy to also announce that under the leadership of the Marape Rosso government and with the stewardship of the Honorable Minister Justin Chichenko, we have now developed a new foreign policy trajectory, which is strategic partnerships for security and prosperity. It is now before Cabinet for approval.
Okay, I appreciate that. Secretary Akipe, you also can come in, in any of these questions. The term sovereignty has been widely used in the context of this particular treaty. And thank you, Secretary Wohengu, for highlighting what all of that is in terms of a foreign policy and a treaty. Some say it's good for the country, others say it's impinging on our sovereignty. What does this all mean for the ordinary citizen of Papua New Guinea and their right? Because a lot of ordinary Papua New Guineans are all just probably thinking, you know, two countries have come in, they've talked about the defense force having an agreement with each other. What does it mean for the ordinary citizen of our country?
Stephen, thank you. Sovereignty can be seen from many angles, and it depends on your worldview. But for us, the sovereignty, and for any ordinary Papua New Guinean, the sovereignty of a country is enshrined within the constitution. So what we do should emanate from the constitution. For us, at the defense, the functions and what we do in defense, consistent with the sovereignty, is enshrined in the constitution. The section 117, section 206, sections 202 and section 205 are fundamental clauses of constitution that guides the mechanics of workings of our defense domestically and also with international partners. And that's what we define as us being consistent with sovereignty.
Okay, we're going to get into, you know, the crux of the treaty itself. The Defense Treaty, Secretary Wohengu and Secretary Akipe, some of the key benefits I've heard is a mutual defense commitment, enhanced capability and interoperability. Once again, the word sovereignty comes up. Protection of sovereignty, regional stability, and there's even a recruitment pathway. Can we maybe expound a little bit on all of these issues? Mutual defense, enhanced capability and interoperability, and protection of sovereignty. And the other gentlemen too can come in on these discussions.
Steve, if you could give me an opportunity to also inform the nations, my fellow citizens, on the occasion of NEC appointing me as the lead negotiator, and it also included agencies that I have to work with in order to develop this treaty with Australia. Fellow citizens are to note that this treaty was negotiated and discussed at the request of Papua New Guinea. So when Cabinet appointed me, Cabinet instructed the following agencies to work also alongside me, apart from the Department of Foreign Affairs itself: the Department of Defense, the PNG Defence Force, Customs, IRC, CASA, Immigration, Transport, NICTA, DICT. All these agencies became part of the technical negotiating team. Okay. And then that were formed under my leadership. And I'm happy to say that most of the team members were all with legal background. And having said that, we did have the consultations began in Sydney in drafting the parameters or determining the parameters of a potential defense treaty. And we ended up in WIWAC for our first round of negotiations. We paid homage to the Grand Chief, Sir Michael Samare, at his resting place. He gave us independence, gave us a house. And the defense treaty or the negotiations thereof was essentially to not put a fence around our house. To check the fence that was given to us at independence, which is our defense force, and to see if our present situation warrants a change, given the 50 years that we've walked to independence in 16 September. With that in mind, we began our first round of negotiation. We had consulted extensively on the status of the military itself with our own defense force. We had some opportunity to also discuss amongst ourselves and others on what the ideal military should look like. A defense force, I should not say military, but a defense force should look like. And when it comes to the sovereignty of a nation, it's the ability of a nation to safeguard its territorial integrity and its independence, and to be able to enter into contractual obligations with equals on international relations. That is sovereignty. And of course, as Secretary Akipe had said, sovereignty can also be viewed from many different angles or perspectives. You can have economic sovereignty. People talk about economic independence. You talk about economic sovereignty. All these things. When you cede, there is always something that you give and you take. All right? The Parliament is the ultimate authority to determine whether or not you cede or not. And I'm happy to say, in terms of the present negotiations, it was negotiated within the construct of the law of Papua New Guinea. No law will be changed to bring the entry into force of this treaty as is. No law will be changed, nor will there be any requirement or need for a new legislation to be enacted to trigger the entry into force of this treaty. It is done within law, meaning it's almost business as usual. The treaty itself has got two components to it. One is the military alliance, which is essentially, or security alliance, which is essentially a standard that we are setting. It's a par, it's a standard. And the defense cooperation aspect of it are more development cooperation natured arrangement to build capabilities and capacities. That I'm happy to say to this nation that our own military drafted that. It is not drafted by me or Secretary Akipe. It was drafted by our own military. We gave them that portion to look at.
Appreciate that response, Secretary Wohengu. So we go back now to that question I asked, and you've more or less in a roundabout way covered most of them. I want to talk about the capability and interoperability. You've just highlighted that, the defense cooperation. A greater integration of defense forces, training and operations to improve regional security. You know, I'm reading different articles from academics and analysis, and some are saying that the defense strategies for our country, you know, there's a lot more happening internally rather than externally. What are your thoughts around this? And maybe let's bring in the Defence Force personnel, and of course the work that you put in, as what Secretary Wohengu has said, but also this question about enhanced capability and interoperability.
Stephen, I'll put in some context to that question of yours, and then
pass it on to...
And maybe Kenol and Major can add in from there.
Thank you.
So since 1975, we have had 6 agreements of sorts with the Australian Defence. So the first one was standard SOFA, or the Status of Force Agreement, which is a standard defence relationship between friendly countries that enables the presence of either forces and either territories. That's what we enjoy. So one of the things that we enjoy from this SOFA is either civilian or military in the defence can travel to each other's, be present in each other's territory without a visa. So that's what we do in our daily operations, business as usual between two defense. So what we have realized, now we're 50 years, and we've seen the 6 defense agreements and relationship between Australia. We realized that it falls short on assisting us developing the defense force. You would realize that most of the infrastructure we have has been inherited from Australia. We still use them 50 years on. We have not built one single barracks yet. The country as a whole has not built one single barracks yet. We have not acquired a very bigger capability for the forces yet. But because of the close proximity and the relationship we have had with Australia over these years, Australia is the obvious choice for us to go towards to make sure we convert or migrate these 6 relationships over the years we have to a document or to a relationship that will be binding and obligatory on each other to ensure that capability is raised to the level of a developed nation. As you can see, for us at the defense, we've been having a lot of backroom discussions before the treaty comes to the attention to the public on how best we could do agreement and pitch ourselves to the development partners we have. So over the last 5 years, under this government, under the Mara Barroso government, you'd have realized we have done many of these agreements. We've done the Defense Cooperation Agreement with the United States, and Secretary Wohengu was the lead negotiator then. We have a status of force agreement with France military, which we never had. We also have the Defense Cooperation Agreement with Indonesia, which we never had. We have had SOFA or MOU with the UK, United Kingdom military, just recently, which never had. On the eve of the independence was signed. The SOFA, yes, SIP Rider. We also have SIP Rider and TPN 505 with US within the period. And we are now proposing a SOFA with Singapore. So these agreements are with partner countries to make sure we pitch ourselves to add value to the relationship, existing relationship, and to make sure we bring the capability, interoperability, etc., etc. The word interoperability and capability, etc., military language they use, and plug and play, some of these things. So when you pitch yourself with these partner countries, these are partner countries with same values and same system. So that's where the interoperability comes in. If the system is very different, you can't pitch yourself to that, because then you can't interoperate because your systems are different. That's why another word they use is plug and play. You can plug someone from here, and then you can plug and then play into someone else, because the systems are same. So that's why we are doing all of those agreements to make sure we add value to the what we are doing to bring up the capability and aspirations of the defense force. And I think we have realized that with Australia we have had one treaty, and that treaty is the Torres Strait Treaty that guides the border along the treaty villages in Western Province. Yeah. So after 50 years, I think the time is right. And so when Minister for Defense, the Honorable Billy Joseph, became the minister, he was advised. He was informed by the Defense Force and Department of Defense, all of us, that it is now high time you migrate. We should migrate the 6 relationship we have had, defense relationship, to migrate to another level to make sure that we've developed the capability of the military going forward. I'll leave it to the colonels and major to add something to what I've said.
Just before you do that as well, Secretary, what you've highlighted, some of these agreements, we've just turned 50 years old. In a modern country, in a modern economy, those things are ongoing. It's a regular part of the operations of a country. And of course, as we've seen in the last 4 or 5 years, there's been a lot of international visitors coming through, presidents and other prime ministers, and hence I just want to say that it's a normal thing. These things happen normally.
Yes, it's normal, but in military some things are not normal.
Thank you.
Foreign policy, it's normal.
Okay.
In defense, some things sometimes it's not normal, but some of these things we can't discuss in public. Some things are state security, and of national interest to the security of the country, and we can do that in the backrooms of defense. But for the sake of discussion here, I might allow.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, Colonel, to say something on the capability and interoperability and sovereignty in defense, perspective of defense.
Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary and Steve. Good morning, citizens. Just to add some more insight into the question that you posed about the enhanced capability, interoperability, and integration. Those benefits, I think you were referring to in your question, is something that we are looking forward in terms of how this treaty will be operationalized. And we have been trained using Australian Defence Force doctrines, standard operating procedures. It basically guides our Defense Force administration and operations even up to this day as we signed the treaty. So all those arrangements, frameworks that we have been using since 1975 are still there. The treaty, we've adopted them as well. It doesn't go away because of the treaty. So we are in a very strong position to go forward from where we are. So that interoperability bit was successfully done because of those arrangements that enabled Australian Defence Force and PNG to share same systems and to train, work alongside each other. And now from this moment of achieving the highest standard of interoperability, we are moving into the as with the treaty now, it gives us the next stage, what is going to come after the interoperability bit now. So this is the integration bit that we look forward to. This means the Australian Defence Force looking and trusting the level of expertise and the skill set that have been put into Papua New Guineans to be able to give them that exposure in their systems. We have one of our deputy commanders in Australia, in Townsville, in the 3rd Brigade at the moment. It's a position that has not been given to us. He has that highest level of security clearance. We have 2 of our pilots currently in 37 Squadron now, flying aircrafts for the RAAF. So this is the bit that we refer to when we talk about integration. We are able to go into their systems that have been restricted. We are able to operate it, and they have the trust on us. So this is the benefit that comes to us now, that they know that we can be able to be trusted, to be a good partner when we operate with them, because they know they have trained us to that level that makes it possible for us to work together. And to the enhanced capability bit, we understand the situation that both countries are in. PNG is a developing country. Australia is a very, developed country, and it comes with very high-end, sophisticated military and defense, technologies that are available, and it's not available to anyone. It is only available to those people who they consider as their allies and their security partner of their trust of choice. So this is the benefit that comes across to us now, that we can be able to use those together for the collective security and peace of both countries and the region as well.
Thank you for that, Colonel Rodney Yamani, the Chief of Personnel and Technical Advisor. Major Norbert Fay, you would like to come into the discussion around some of the things that he's just highlighted?
Thank you. I will add to the capability part. We seem to mention capability, and we focus more on the capabilities of the ship and plane, but in this aspect we should focus more on the human capability, the human aspect. So with a relationship like this, our soldiers will train to understand all these things. So in the future, when we acquire all these things, they will be able to easily use them because of the knowledge they've gained through the partnership that we have. Thank you.
If I just in terms of integration and interoperability, I've seen a lot of commentary in the media about integration and sovereign commands. The integration that we talk about here and that is provided for in the treaty is for interoperability. So our military personnel are able to use assets that are presently used by Australia to conduct joint exercises, to conduct training for personnel between both countries. So any misconception about total integration, losing sovereign command, that's a misconception, that's a misnomer. We continue to maintain the sovereign command of the PNG Defence Force, which is insulated and protected by the treaty. So I'd like to appeal to those who are conveying misinformation that once we integrate with them, we lose our sovereign identity and our command structure. That's not true. That treaty continues to protect and uphold that. And whilst I also have the floor, I would like to take this opportunity to also thank the Marape Rosso government, especially the Prime Minister, for taking that decision to release that treaty to the society, to Papua New Guinea, to have an opportunity to read about it and to provide meaningful contributions. The treaty will be a product of Parliament. Signature by the Prime Minister is essentially to commence the formal process for the document to now walk the 117th provision of the Constitution to Parliament. It is only Parliament that will ratify that treaty. So all of us who are commenting on it, and I welcome good commentaries, positive commentaries, and we dovetail that commentary towards the Parliament process. We've all got elected MPs. I have 2 elected MPs. I'm fortunate that I have one as well who I work with, the minister, and we can contribute our ideas to them, and they can debate meaningfully on the floor of Parliament, which is a very constructive idea. And for that, I want to thank the Marape government for taking the decision to release it.
That's part of the treaty process.
And that's part of the treaty process.
Thank you for highlighting that, Secretary Wohengu, because last week I interviewed Dr. Eric Kwai as well, and he highlighted some of the significances, especially when it comes to law, on how some of, sometimes when an important piece of legislation like this comes through, sometimes, as you said, because of the sensitivity of it in nature, it's not discussed publicly. But as you've just highlighted, the Prime Minister has decided to put that out for public discourse, and we are now seeing a lot of that discourse out in the media. But I appreciate you acknowledging that, Secretary Wohengu.
Steve, may I add a little bit? So over these 50 years of relationship with Australian Defence and the 6 agreements that I alluded to, we appreciate the assistance rendered by Australia to us. So, and with these 6 agreements, we've been doing a lot of activities. Trainings have been ongoing over these years. We have received the Guardian Class Patrol Boats, the recently opened Lombrum Naval Base. So many things have been, capabilities that we have, has been through the defence relationship we have with Australia. The latest being the Defence Cooperation Agreement, under which the Defence Cooperation Program is run, and then under which also the exercises between the 2 forces. But Steve, over these years, our troops have been doing exercise after exercise after exercise, same old. It's time you go one step up. It's time you pitch yourself to something else, something exciting, something new. The treaty provides, the law provides for us to go into the pathway of treaty, and then and the law in the treaty too. Let's see if it works. If it doesn't work, there's provisions. There's provisions for you to make amendments to the treaty. So no one should be afraid of the treaty, and no one should be anxious about the treaty. The defense is very comfortable with the treaty, and we have pushed for the treaty to make sure we raise the level of the capability of our PNG Defence Force.
Thank you for that.